Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the match preview for the game between Collingwood and West Coast at Marvel Stadium this Saturday. Something that kind of raised my eyebrows looking at this game, and that's our last 10 games. Forgetting how good West Coast were up until, say, 2020, we're 5-5 in our last 5 matches. So we always talk about motivations going into games against opposition, trying to find something extra, get an extra pep in our step. It's that. 5-5 against the worst team in the competition right now. So you go back to 2018, 2019, they got us. We split the difference in 2019. In 2020, we lost to them early in the season quite comprehensively. I think that was the game where Pendles had actually been withdrawn right before the game, a quad injury in the warm-up, and that just kind of completely rattled us. I feel like something like that this year and last year, it doesn't rattle us as much anymore. I feel like we were Pendlebury or bust back in those days, and that game in particular definitely showed why. We squared the ledger later in the year. That unbelievable elimination final, probably one of the top 5 moments, just off the top of my head, top 5 Collingwood moments in a finals series. Backs against the wall, 5th versus 8th. It was a great story. The 2021, once again, we split the difference. They had us early in the year, but later in the year, we got the dub, 45 points. I can't quite remember that game. 2022 one, though, I remember vividly because I was there at Marvel. Collingwood kicked 10-14, 74, 14-3, 87. The Eagles win by 13 points. Obviously, it's a completely different team. That team in 2022 struggled, and they still had Yo, Shuey, Sheed, Darling, Kennedy, McGovern, Hearn. So I can't quite put to it. I mean, they had injuries, and that's where it all sort of fell apart for them. 2023, we win by 63 points. 2024, we won by, another 57, 60 odd points. And that maps out how we are 5-5 against the Eagles. All time, we're 29-31 in West Coast favour. So, motivations, there it is. The other big motivation going into this game for the club is Charlie West's debut. His form was super consistent at VFL level. Even when he wasn't kicking goals, he was finding the footy, he was competing in the air. And I think that's what they like above everything else. And maybe he has that Jamie Elliott clutch gene after that game against the Sandy Zebras where he kicked that goal after the siren. So how we structure our team to implement Charlie West will be a watch. I'm not sure how you fit in McStay, Membry, Myercheck, and West. Do they do that? I mean, you've seen Western Bulldogs go quite tall, and that hasn't worked in years gone by. I think it was the start of last year. They tried Lob, Norden, Ugle-Hagan, and Darcy, and that didn't work. Obviously, our lads aren't as tall as their lads, so it's a different sort of picture. But you'd have to think maybe Membry gets managed, maybe McStay. I'm not too sure how it all pans out in the end, but the fact is Charlie West is debuting, and I think you'd have to imagine that Charlie West as a key forward will start on the field and will not be a sub. Exciting times. I don't know what this means for Charlie West and beyond this game. We've had conversations in the show. How many goals does he need to kick? Is there a number of goals he can kick to keep himself kick himself into the side or keep him in the side? Really, like if he kicks 4 and Membry's being managed, you probably have to say he keeps his spot, Charlie West, right? From there, the spot's his to lose up until the final series. That's one of the alternate universes or one of the universes we see ourselves in if it pans out that way. Or he kicks one or two, competes, maybe has 8 to 10 touches, and they go, yep, cool, you played well. Go back to the VFL now and show us that confidence you've got from playing at the highest level, being the AFL. So it'd be an interesting watch. I'm sure many of us are not opposed to seeing Charlie West in the final series, but there is that question mark on experience and how he would go in those big moments, having hardly played. There are anomalies or outliers. Logan Morris, Cal Shadia, both did really well in their final series last year. So it is possible. It is possible for a young key forward to do their thing. I understand that. The other thing going into this game, which is a watch, is just our contest. Now, ultimately, it comes down to what the score is at the end of the day, how efficient we are going inside 50. Can our defense withstand the pressure, which we've been able to prove that many times before. Be interesting how we look without Billy Frampton in the side, and I can't believe I'm saying that in 2025, but that's just where he is right now. He is an absolute lock, one of our most consistent players this year, by far and away. So yeah, Darcy Moore, Jeremy Howe, they'll probably go short. You'd love to see Charlie Dean get an opportunity given how well he's going in the VFL, but we've seen when Darcy Moore hasn't been available, they haven't brought in another key tall. So they rely on the likes of Jeremy Howe and Braden Maynard, Isaac Quaynor to help out Darcy Moore rather than bring in Charlie Dean or, in the VFL, as far as our VFL listed or AFL listed defenders, we've got Charlie Dean, like key defenders, right? Like Jacob Ryan and TJ and Will Parker, they're not key defenders. You've got Big Roo, Illaru Smith, who's playing a lot of defense to like build on that Darcy Cameron craft, I would suppose. So there's not a lot of options beyond Charlie Dean and the Big Roo right now. So if they don't go for them, then we're going to see a smaller defense against a forward side, a side with a lack of forwards right now. No Oscar Allen, no Waterman. Is there anyone else? I mean, that's probably the two players you'd be most concerned about, and they're not playing. But yeah, the contest is important. We're winning. We're withstanding the pressure, but like us to break even. We're currently minus 4.4 in contested possessions, and we're in the negative for clearances as well. But West Coast managed to outdo us far worse in the contest. They're minus 16.6 in the contest, and they're minus 10 in clearances. And they don't have an outside game, it seems. So this is a game we just have to win by 60 plus points. That's my opinion. I don't come out. I've barely come out this year and said, all right, well, I think we should win by this much, or we need to win by this much. This is a game because of how we're getting. We're sort of creeping towards the final series right now. I think there's a few stats there or areas of improvement for our game. There's players missing. I think this is a big game for us in that way. We need a big convincing win to keep the purple patch rolling. We've simmered a bit in the last 4 to 5 weeks, I'd say. I think now, do we make the push now? What round is it? Round 16. So we're getting closer and closer. Anything else that we want to talk about? Don't think so. My check's 150, of course. So that's probably one of the reasons why we probably won't see my check managed for this game, because it's his 150th. It's a home game. Do they want it for the G against Carlton? I don't know, but pretty sure Carlton next week is an away game. So they'll probably take this one in West Coast at Marvel. So 150 for an absolute stalwart of the club, and really feel-good story coming through the VFL as a mature age, overlooked in drafts and whatnot, and a premiership player for the Pies. So that is my 2 cents on the match preview. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And as always, go Pies.